The TVWAN News is proudly brought to you by
BSP, our bank, our people.
Hello and welcome. This is TVWAN News. I'm Jasmine Iru. In this edition, art exhibition empowers artists, election reform imminent, and hunters record second loss to pride. Ward Strip Elementary and Primary School overflowed with joy and gratitude as Melanie and Neil Wilson generously donated an elementary kit, one school library kit comprising 1,000 books through the Book Belong Pickaninny web gifting shop. This simple yet impactful act made a world of difference to the enrolled children, bringing smiles to their faces. The school teachers expressed their excitement at finally having books in their classrooms and extended their heartfelt thanks to the Wilson family and Book Belong Pickaninny. The children eagerly assisted in filling the specially crafted bookcase, relishing the opportunity to exploring the exciting pages within. Through their contribution, they have made a profound difference in the lives of these children, leaving an indelible mark on their educational journey. In Madang province, there has not been any permanent avenues provided for local people to sell art and craft. They either sell in the main market area, in private residential areas, or as mobile markets. Young and enthusiastic Leanne Yaladona has been making an effort to change that by hosting a craft market since February this year. The fourth crafts market was successfully hosted at the Country Women's Association grounds over the weekend. Leanne stated that the last three markets were hosted at the Madang Visitors and Cultural Bureau premises. However, due to some issues, they had to find another location to host the end of May market.
The Madang Craft Market is making progress and things are looking up for SME owners and individuals who have a product to sell. With no specific market space to sell art and craft, Leanne Eladona has been going out of her way to create that market space with help from the vendors who use it. This initiative surfaced because of an increase in SMEs, artists, art and craft vendors, and individuals who find it difficult to market their goods. Leanne started the Madang Craft Market in 2020 with a cultural arts and craft fair. However, COVID-19 happened and she cancelled. She revived this initiative this year and has since been making good progress. The craft market takes place at the end of each month. Leanne said the response has been overwhelming. Visitor numbers keep increasing each month. Vendors were given the opportunity to build their network and exchange meaningful ideas. Interestingly, the vendors come from all over the province, and for just 50 kina, they get to set up a stall, sell their product, and expand their network.
And as we were progressing February, March, by April, we had like a lot of people come to the markets. A lot of vendors, a lot of people were interested because then people started to know that, oh, this was happening. I'll talk about the local artisans. We are kind of scattered, which is the same for SMEs too here in Madang. Everyone's scattered. We don't have an avenue to sell. So this was a great avenue for everyone to come together. Our local artisans, people got to see their work. They got to build their networks, and there was something great that we've seen out of the markets.
Due to lack of market space, they've had to put a stop to taking in any more interested vendors, especially at the premises of the Country Women's Association. It is Leanne's hope that this initiative provides vendors opportunities to trainings that will enhance their business as well.
And also, like our young people who are unemployed and on the streets, we hope to have some initiatives that can bring them together and help them to see some positivity and try to do something good for themselves. So now that we have the markets, that we bring everyone together. So I plan to at least have some trainings or some workshops after this, so that we can be able to elevate everyone in the different areas in Medellin. So we have the SMEs, we have the youths, we have the women, and then we also have the arts and crafts.
Salome Vincent, TV1 News.
Prime Minister James Marape commended the Pacific leaders for attending the Forum for India-Pacific Island Cooperation in Port Moresby recently. In a recent media conference, PM Marape said it was a historic event as PNG was able to host two bigger economies in India and the United States.
Minister James Marape acknowledged the presence of all Pacific Island leaders and officials who attended the third Forum for India-Pacific Island Cooperation in Port Moresby. Marape says despite the size of Pacific Island countries, there is strength in numbers and great potential in national assets such as our vast open skies, oceans and forests that have been used for business, commerce and trade, and contributed to the livelihood of millions of people. The Prime Minister further thanked the Prime Minister for India, Narendra Modi, and the U.S. Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, for gracing the leaders with their presence during the summit.
It was really historic for us as a country to host the two big world leaders, as well as our full house from the Pacific, including our New Zealand Prime Minister who came in for our own bilateral, as well as the meeting with the defense, with the United States Secretary of State.
Some of the favorable outcomes from FIPIC include India committing to support Pacific Islands by setting up a heart facility in Fiji while continuing its partnership with the University of Papua New Guinea for internet capacities. Prime Minister Marape said Pacific Island voices have been heard by the international communities. For PNG, India has shown strong support and investment.
Pacific and PNG needs support for our small island communities and the small island state. I thought was a good outcome. India Prime Minister went out with fullest assurance to all of us who attended that Pacific has been heard, and we will work to assist the Pacific Island communities and also Papua New Guinea in a big way.
Freddie Moe, TV1 News.
Meantime, Prime Minister James Marape said the government will not repeat what transpired during the APEC meeting in 2018, where talks were made without fruitful implementation. He said outcomes from FIPIC will be followed upon.
2018 is not a targeted conversation. The difference between APEC 2018 was that you had a generic meeting where all nations come in, talk about trade, and all go back based on general conversations. The meeting we had with India on last Monday was a targeted meeting, meeting at the highest between India Prime Minister and Papua New Guinea Prime Minister, and that relationship established. I am now dispatching a team of key ministers, especially in the area of trade, higher education and health. They will go work with India for us to source in what we need to source in as far as our commercial interests, our business interests, and our educational and health interests.
This is TV1 News. Stay tuned.
It was during and after COVID that really motivated me to want to take up life insurance. I think savings is very important, and I think One Talk Delight provides a disciplined approach to savings, and it's a good investment to want to think about the future, because it's always nice to have plans for what you want to do later on.
With you for life.
Whether we're playing sport, exercising for fitness, being active for work or play, just having some fun, or just chilling, there is one name we can count on that we know will keep us going strong. Skell rice. Healthy, nutritious, delicious medium grain rice full of vitamins and minerals. Skell helps us maintain a healthy, active lifestyle so we can enjoy every day.
Skell rice. Skell life.
From the rich soils of the highlands, the finest coffee has been grown by generations of Papua New Guineans. Expertly blended and roasted with over 80 years of experience, making the finest cup of Nescafe New Guinea blend, PNG's own coffee.
Our journey starts with you. We'll be there from the start, right through to your life's adventures. We'll ensure comfort and make your safety our priority. We'll take you to memorable moments, no matter where it begins. And we'll get you there like we've always done. The 4th generation coaster bus, more than just a bus.
A quick favorite meal for the day does feel good. Snacks noodles is my choice for a simple meal. It is easy to prepare and fast to cook. And with a touch of flavor and ingredients, quality noodles that can be cooked and enjoyed in many different ways. You see, my whole family loves it. It's made here in PNG and comes in different pack sizes. Snacks noodles, tastier but you like it more.
The nation sits on the edge of its collective seat.
And it can't be wrong.
Hunt wins the Origin for Queensland.
Hard and make it strong. You're simply the best.
Tom Turbo Trelawney. Here they go. Tom. Goes to the in and a rampaging Valentine Holmes.
Taking his chance in every way. It's Roma on their way to Budapest. Leverkusen 0, Roma 0, Roma 1-0 on aggregate.
Welcome back. Chief Secretary to Government Ivan Pomaliu today echoed the words of Prime Minister James Marape on the need for substantial electoral reform in Papua New Guinea. Pomaliu said following the conclusion of the 2022 national general elections, the Prime Minister in his inaugural address to the 11th Parliament acknowledged that the recent election had demonstrated the need for electoral reform.
Speaking during the election summit in Port Moresby today, Chief Secretary to the government Ivan Pomaliu said Prime Minister James Marape has informed Parliament that maintaining the status quo is simply no longer an option after the 2022 national elections. He said the Prime Minister has been clear that work to reform our electoral system must start early to ensure that we deliver a new electoral system by the time of our 50th anniversary of independence in 2025 and well ahead of the next elections in 2027.
The Prime Minister has made it clear that he intends to ensure that our nation receives a reformed electoral system by the time of our 50th anniversary of independence.
The 3-day National Election Summit convened as an initiative of the Interdepartmental Election Committee, which Pomaliu co-chairs with PNG Electoral Commissioner Simon Sinai. The purpose of the summit is twofold: to hear from experts, observers and stakeholders about their different experiences from the 2022 election, and second, to take those experiences, views and learnings to help formulate practical and evidence-based recommendations for reform. The Chief Secretary said they will outline what worked well in the 2022 national general elections and what went wrong.
The aim of the summit is to hear real perspectives and then use that information to formulate recommendations for reforms.
The recommendations arising from this summit will inform the work of the Special Parliamentary Committee on the 2022 election and will provide options to the government and the parliament. Freddie Moe, TV1 News.
Special incentives will be announced in a few months' time for players in the manufacturing, agriculture, forestry and fisheries sectors. Prime Minister James Marape made the announcement on Thursday when meeting with Lay's private sector.
During the May 25th breakfast session with the Lay Chamber of Commerce and Industry and its members, Prime Minister James Marape thanked employers for remaining loyal to PNG for the past decades despite the deteriorating business environment. He said the Marape-Rosso government will very soon announce special incentives to support loyal players in the manufacturing, agriculture, forestry and fisheries sectors focused on serious downstream processing in the country.
Those incentives will be announced very soon. In fact, within the 6 months going forward before 2024 budget is brought in, we will announce certain incentives that we will be giving to the manufacturing sector and also agriculture, forestry and fisheries space in our country.
Marape assured the business sector that he has taken note of their frustration with constant power issues. That is why they are ramping up work at the Ramu power station. He thanked the Japan International Cooperation Agency for the 263 million kina Ramu transmission system reinforcement project jointly funded by the Japan and PNG governments. This project will supply power between the Ramu 1 hydropower station to the Taraka substation using the reinforced 132 kilovolts transmission line that will run through the Erap substation. However, despite the Prime Minister's assurance, a majority of the companies remained skeptical, with the Chief Executive Officer of the Lay Biscuit Company, Ian Chow, saying talking is easy, making things happen is the hardest part. Chow said business houses in Lay are still faced with long-standing issues like power outages, high tariffs and shortage in foreign exchange, while the figures that were reportedly spent by the national government to boost the economy are yet to be felt by both the private sector and the average Papua New Guinean. Salome Vincent, TV1 News.
The Independent Consumer and Competition Commission recently hosted a regional workshop on prohibited cartel conducts, leniency policy and confidentiality guidelines at the Medang Resort Hotel. The workshop thoroughly explained what cartel conduct was, main types of cartel conduct or activities, legislative provisions prohibiting cartel conduct, investigative powers of ICCC, the penalties for engaging in cartel conduct, and that prevention is better than prosecution. Grace Messina, manager for restrictive trade practices, said there was a need for this workshop as Papua New Guinea is a small economic country. There was a need for competition within industries. Business owners and managers spoke up about how this affected competition within the goods and services industry, including manager for Medang Anderson Supermarket, Andrew Thorne, who found the workshop productive.
Well, I'd just like to thank the ICCC. I think it was a productive workshop, very informative, allowed us to really understand a new awareness of cartel around pricing and our awareness. So it's really helped to, I suppose, improve my knowledge around that area and give us awareness and given us, what steps we can do if we believe there's, malpractice that needs to be followed up, the communication process and who we can follow up with at a local level or a regional level.
It's an important part of a small economy like ours that we need businesses to be competing and not entering into arrangements that will make super profits for them but at the cost of consumers. So if they're going to compete fairly, Feedback has been great because most business houses were not aware of this. Or even if they were, they didn't know who to complain to or how to approach it.
On Friday, May the 19th, Madang witnessed the Bates Oval the launching and announcement of a Memorandum of Understanding between the Provincial Administration and the Ministry of Livestock. With this first-of-its-kind initiative, Madang Governor Ramsey Pariwa told his people that it was time to start earning from agriculture and livestock. According to Pariwa, the downstream processing plant for all livestock products will be based at the abattoir at Sagalau. The government has also pledged support to see to it that this initiative kicks off as soon as possible. Pariwa said downstream processing will generate more income for local farmers. To signify this important event, 2 new vehicles given to the Provincial Agriculture and Livestock Office to support the work of the ministry in the province. Fisheries development in East New Britain has reached another milestone with the successful launching of support for people in small to medium business ventures in the province. This follows the launching of the ENB Fisheries Micro Small Medium Enterprise support on Friday, May the 26th at the Provincial Fisheries Station in Rabaul Town.
The launching of the East New Britain Fisheries Micro, Small, Medium Enterprise Support comprises of outboard motors, dinghies, deep freezers and skis worth 250,000 kina. It will assist locals in making fishing a viable small business venture. Provincial Fisheries Coordinator Dixon Kondal said this initiative by the provincial fisheries sector will be piloted in the province with counter-funding support from the National Fisheries Authority. He commended the support by NFA under the partnership agreement to implement the MOA for fisheries development with other provinces. NFA management recently lauded the ENB fisheries sector for having the drive to facilitate and create initiatives and go one step further. Kondal said this initiative will empower locals economically and further strengthen the provincial government's ward policy aimed at alleviating social and law and order problems and promote economic development. Salome Vincent, TV1 News.
Prime Minister James Marape is mobilizing a team of leaders in the Pacific to realize the enormous resources in the Pacific, especially in the fisheries sector. He said despite the size of Pacific countries, there is strength in numbers and great potential in our national assets. Marape said he is currently mobilizing a team of leaders in the Pacific to embark upon the preservation of environment in the Blue Pacific. He said if all Pacific Island nations address the vast resources from the seas, economic growth will be imminent across the region.
One of you, Papua New Guinea will continue to play a lead role in sourcing support at global forums for our small island nations. They came into Port Moresby, PNG, knowing fully well the role PNG plays. We are a big economy in terms of size and scale in the Pacific. We have big landmass, and I want to indicate to Papua New Guineans, whilst they may be small island by landmass in the Blue Pacific, their sea space is big. I want to let it out known to everyone. It is no secret that a special interest in my heart is the economic advancement of Papua New Guinea. Deep in the seas of Pacific are marine resources, fish and tuna. We supply the world with over 60% of world's tuna from Pacific waters. Papua New Guinea alone, about 20% of world's tuna is sourced from our PNG waters. And so the security of our marine resources is important. And for me, I am mobilizing the Pacific Island nations to realize the enormous big pool of resources we have in our sea, the fish and the tuna.
TV1 News continues when we return. Stay with us.
There's a sense of pride when you're able to do something right, a financial decision that has just really good benefits. With BSP life insurance, there's that alleviation of that worry when you pass away. The benefits of the BSP life insurance would meet those expenses on behalf of my family. If you're young and you have kids, you owe it to your children to make sure they're not left behind when you pass on.
With you for life.
All-One Talks add some excitement to your festivities with the Flame Easter Bonanza. Win a slice of a whopping 300,000 kina by purchasing the Flame Family Bundle Pack, which includes rice, sugar, flour and vegetable oil, all in one go. Highlight these goodies on your receipt and scribble your full name and contact details on the back and pop it in the entry box in selected stores across PNG. 4 fortnightly draws, 100 winners, 3,000 kina each. You don't want to miss out. This promotion ends on the 31st of May. Flame, strength and energy. Terms and conditions apply.
Hiya, Mama. You wait then, but me add him special flavor.
Put in more flavor, put in more taste. Magic kakaro, get up and big smile on face. Time for kimchi and a great kumutu. Sip, sip, da moo, yes, magic on you.
Maggi, the taste PNG loves.
He says the best Hunters players come from his region. So does she. But there's one thing that brings everyone together. SB Lager, Bunyamyumi.
Hardware House launches the low-cost quick build kit home, built with quality building materials from the leading manufacturer of steel products and kit homes, Atlas Steel. Going now at introductory prices: 1-bedroom kit home at 79,000 kina, 2-bedroom kit home at 99,900 kina, and 3-bedroom kit home at 125,000 kina. You can also opt for solar units to be installed in the kit home at an extra charge. For more information, email info@hardwarehouse.com.pg.
At TISA, we've been a common thread in the lives of Papua New Guineans for 50 years. Not for profit, not for charity, but for service.
Karate One Premier League, live from Fukuoka, June 11th.
Such a great crowd and wonderful atmosphere here. Yes, steps inside, Vente, well, spectacular try. Kessie Apps is charging it under and took it and score. Great kick. There's a dummy, and they go straight through. Support on the inside. See you later, in for try number 2. Oh, good tackle. From that, Isabel Kelly will host the Origin for New South Wales.
Welcome back. Turning overseas, the Queensland Premier has urged Queenslanders not to turn up to already stretched hospital emergency departments unless it's absolutely necessary. More than 500,000 people presented at EDs in the first 3 months of this year, and there are fears the numbers will escalate as the flu season ramps up.
Like her pooch, the Premier was on a mission.
If you do not need to go to emergency, don't go to emergency.
Anastasia Palaszczuk has urged Queenslanders to reduce the pressure on hospital emergency departments, which dealt with more than 570,000 patients from January to March.
We're coming into a winter flu season, which is going to be severe for Queensland. So all of us have to work together to help ease that pressure.
The best thing you can do to protect yourself and your family is to get your flu shot and to get your COVID shot. Now, if you do not need to go to emergency, please go and see your GP.
But Jared Blay says it's not quite that simple.
And obviously, on a weekend particularly with people with young families or in an emergency, they're going to go to a hospital because you can't necessarily get in to see a GP on the weekend.
The opposition says patients should take their advice from doctors, not the Premier. And they're concerned 58,000 Queenslanders are still waiting for surgery.
And I would hate to think that the Premier trying to scare people not going to emergency departments just because she's worried about how her health data looks would mean that we might put kids at risk.
As the Premier announced, struggling families will soon be able to claim up to $150 in swimming vouchers, the Treasurer assured next month's budget will again be a winner for the health system.
Last year we delivered the single largest budget in Queensland history, the single biggest uplift to the Queensland health budget in history.
We need better resources for the health department. We need more triaging, putting doctors and nurses back in charge.
Tomorrow, the opposition will be hosting a town hall health meeting in Redlands.
Concerns over rising crime in the Northern Territory dominated discussions at a recent summit of Indigenous leaders in Katherine. The group focused on ways to mediate disputes and boost safety within their communities.
Working together, sharing ways to keep the peace, having a laugh in the process. 50 peacemakers across 5 remote NT communities met in Katherine last week. Their goal, developing methods to resolve local conflicts without involving the police.
We work with our service providers and we still maintain our cultural obligation.
A lot of these community elders and leaders that are here today have done is often work that goes unnoticed, it goes unrecognised and unfunded.
In the remote NT, hospitalisation rates due to violent assaults are the highest in the country. The work of local peacemakers is valuable here, and it begins with tough conversations.
We make people sit with us, we talk to them until they're not so. We are facing those problems within family to family, and it is really a struggle for us.
The Northern Territory has the highest rates of reoffending in the country, with the same people often appearing in court time and time again. It's prompted calls for a new approach aimed at healing and cultural understanding.
I think the work that the peacemakers are doing has already proven that they can reduce the rate of reoffending in communities.
The peacemakers say their knowledge of local families will help earn the trust of those most at risk.
Australia have the lot, but the Australia doesn't know of the community or the people. The difference is our color and where we're from, but we are human. We need to work together and walk together in this unique place.
A shared journey with Indigenous leaders helping to pave the way.
Australia's bilateral ties with India was further strengthened earlier this week after a visit from Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Sydney. Both leaders discussed regional security and economic ties and signed a migration deal to boost India's students and business travel to Australia. Tista Prakash, analyst, Australian Strategic Policy Institute.
I think it's the fact that he is, of course, very charismatic, but also the leader of the fastest growing G20 economy. That is a significant feat on its own. And given that, Biden's cancellation and sort of Kishida making the G7, the new Quad Summit host, it really sort of showed how Australia and India really are now like the last men standing of the Quad setup, and it was just more the fact that Indians who are now a huge part of, or the Indian diaspora are a huge part of the Australian community, seeing India take its rightful place in the world as they see it, right? Because this was seen as a backwards developing economy not very many years ago, and now they see it as really sort of the third pole really in the world, and that was also evident by Modi's reception in Port Moresby in PNG before he landed in Australia. So really it's the amalgamation of India's economic growth and it's sort of taking the third pole. It's not the US, it's not the China, it stands on its own and it stands for itself. Right. So that's what drives sort of Modi's popularity in the world. So the democratic guardrails of India have to be seen within context. Now, we also don't know what the leaders are talking about in private, right? So Australia has realized that India doesn't really respond well to public calling out. So a lot of these discussions are interpersonal, sort of personality driven, and also held behind closed doors oftentimes. Given the hard work that it's taken to get Australia and India relationship really sort of back on track in the last 5 years, you know, a public call out may not be the most effective means to achieve the outcome that, you know, Australia wants to achieve here.
At the same time, though, you know, and it's a lot of the times India has been seen as a counter to China's growing power, but India still refuses to condemn Russia at the UN Security Council meetings. It continues to buy Moscow's oil, and it's always said that it will act as in India's interest. So how much of an ally really is India to Western governments?
Look, historically, India will never be an ally because India doesn't do alliances. It's a non-aligned country. That it was the leader of the non-alignment movement in the during the Cold War, and really, I think India can be a partner at best. And there's a very fine line between what an ally can do and what a partner can do. So there's strategic alignment on issues that are of mutual interest, and here it'll massively be on economics and regional security.
8,000 people stopped traffic on a march through the heart of Adelaide in opposition to the state government's crackdown on disruptive protests. The new law has been condemned by dozens of community and civil rights groups, and crossbench MPs are considering how to amend the bill or stop it from passing.
Protests like this may soon be illegal.
This is what democracy looks like.
And disruptive demonstrators could pay a hefty price.
$750 to 50 grand, that's insane.
I don't think they represent what people want at all.
We're really worried about where this bill could go. South Australians came out in droves, stopping traffic from Parliament House through Rundle Mall over a law that's been marched through the lower house, where someone obstructing a public place could face a fine of up to $50,000 or 3 months in prison.
So we're here to fight against this bill, and we're here to fight for our democracy.
The legal change was sparked by a series of climate change protests that held up traffic for hours in Adelaide and vandalised the headquarters of Santos.
We don't want that to happen without people realising the seriousness of what they've done.
In recent years, states and territories have tried to limit protests they say are causing economic chaos in towns and cities. New South Wales has imposed hefty fines and jail time for illegal protests on roads, rail lines and bridges. While in 2017, former Greens leader Bob Brown won a High Court challenge to a Tasmanian law that tried to prevent protests on business premises. The South Australian bill has bipartisan support, but crossbenchers will challenge it.
I don't care what you're protesting about. The fact that you're able to go out and protest is what's at stake here.
It will go to the Legislative Council and those debates will happen, but I feel quite strongly that we've made the right decision.
A decision dozens of local and national organisations, including Amnesty International and the Law Society, have vowed to change.
The PNG Contemporary Art Exhibition kicked off at the Tanks Arts Centre in Cairns, Australia on Friday the 26th of May. This groundbreaking event, organised by the National Cultural Commission in partnership with Paradise Palette, marks the beginning of a series of exhibitions across Cairns, Darwin and Brisbane. The exhibition holds great significance as Papua New Guinea prepares to celebrate its 50th independence anniversary.
The PNG Contemporary Art Exhibition was attended by Minister for Tourism, Arts and Culture Isi Henry Leonard, Executive Director of the National Cultural Commission Stephen Kilanda, and officers from the PNG National Museum and Art Gallery and the Tourism Promotion Authority. An elder of the Gimwi Walubara Yidinji people, Guju Guju, said art is a part of people in relation to indigenous cultures and heritage, no matter where we are from. Its significance gives peace in the heart and mind, and importantly, when standing on country soil. The PNG Contemporary Art Exhibition serves multiple purposes: to showcase a collection of artwork that embody PNG's rich artistic heritage, and marks a significant step in fostering international relationships and recognizing the vibrant visual art scene in PNG. The exhibition is a testament to the NCC's commitment to empowering local artists and individuals who face challenges in finding markets and receiving fair compensation for their creations. The exhibition opens doors to expanding international relationships and marketing opportunities. It promotes art-themed tourism ventures and highlights the importance of visual arts in upholding PNG's cultural integrity and identity. The PNG Contemporary Art Exhibition opened in Cairns on May 25 and runs through to June 16. Then it runs in Darwin on August 28 to September 20. It will then showcase in Brisbane on October 31 to November 7. Salome Vincent, TVWAN News.
Paradise Palette, a prominent organization, has successfully curated 6 annual exhibitions of contemporary art from Papua New Guinea at the Royal Queensland Art Society's Petrie Terrace Gallery in Brisbane since 2017. These exhibitions have experienced remarkable growth in artist participation and community interest, becoming a highly anticipated event at the gallery. Recognizing the increasing interest in PNG's contemporary art scene, the National Cultural Commission has established a partnership with Paradise Palette to facilitate the involvement of artists from across PNG in future exhibitions. The signing of a Memorandum of Understanding between the NCC and Paradise Palette took place on December the 20th, 2022 at the Australian High Commission in Port Moresby. Don Watton, the curator for Paradise Palette, announced this collaboration in an interview with TVWAN.
In December last year, I was invited to sign a Memorandum of Understanding with the National Cultural Commission, which would enable the Papua New Guinea government to bring these exhibitions to a wider audience within Australia. This is the first of the exhibitions that we've organised outside of Brisbane, and from Cairns we'll be moving on to Darwin before heading back to Brisbane later in the year. The exhibitions provide a great marketing opportunity for the artist, where they're exposed to a wider market than they would normally have on the streets or in the markets around Papua New Guinea.
And back home, heavy rains in the capital city has resulted in citywide flooding and disruption to school and work for many city residents. Last night's rain continued into today, putting a stop to normal daily activities. These are amateur footage from earlier today showing main roads in parts of the city underwater and flooding in drainage systems. The St. John Ambulance earlier today issued a warning to residents in NCD and Central Province of flash flooding, advising pedestrians and motorists not to attempt to wade or drive through water due to dangers associated with the flooding. According to St. John Ambulance, the Magi Highway has been cut off about 15 kilometers away from NCD, and ambulances are unable to move across in either direction. The duty commander in the National Ambulance Operations Center is closely monitoring the situation. And now the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. back home southern region, isolated showers and thunderstorms with areas of rain scattered over central and Milne Bay province. In the Momase and New Guinea Islands region, scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. In the Highlands region, isolated showers with areas of patchy rain, then scattered morning fog. TVWAN News continues when we return. Stay with us.
Without a doubt, you care for your loved ones. You want to keep them safe, whoever they may be with, wherever they may be, in the home or facing the world outside. Don't let anything stop you, not even bacteria. Protex helps protect your skin with natural extracts. Boosted with flaxseed oil, Protex helps eliminate 99.9% of bacteria for healthy skin. And with the power of natural goodness, you're ready to play every day. Protex, for the good health of your skin.
At TISA, we've been a common thread in the lives of Papua New Guineans for 50 years. Not for profit, not for charity, but for service.
Among all the billion people in the world, you will meet people you are destined to meet.
Look! Many parts of the town of Nuestra Vida are severely flooded.
Nurse, can you help my wife, please?
I can't take it anymore!
The good news is, the baby's heart rate is normal, so we can still wait for a C-section.
One of the twins has a weak heart rate. We didn't succeed. Diana! Is that what Maggie's baby?
They will lose their daughter, too. They will feel the pain I'm feeling.
New beginnings.
This June, leap into a futuristic world where imagination, invention and innovation become reality. What food will we eat in the future when all our resources run dry?
We are losing land.
Meet the modern-day farmers in a race to feed the world.
I want to leave something good for the world.
Gain access to one of the world's busiest airports as we reveal the unseen world and unsung heroes of shipping. Inside Air Cargo. Is it game over for this once successful video gaming giant?
Japan kind of got caught in this trap.
Witness these major players level up and smash through obstacles in Japan's Comeback Game. This June on CNA.
Welcome to NRL 360 Rugby League.
Ready to rock town.
I think all the clubs are sitting out there and they're watching this with interest.
Welcome back. In sports, the Women's Oceania Football Champions League kicks off this Thursday, June the 1st. Teams are already in the country preparing for the event. Koloale FC from Solomon Islands and Navasa FC from Fiji arrived over the weekend, as AS Academy Feminine from New Caledonia arrived this afternoon. Samoa's Kiwi FC is expected to be in the country before Thursday as well. The event organizing committee inspected the training field and sporting venue at Sir Hubert Murray Stadium over the weekend. All is set for the event. PNG's representative team Hekari United have been dubbed early favourites. Hekari will play AS Academy Femin in the second match on Thursday, June the 1st. The team then plays Kiwi FC on Saturday, June the 3rd. Before they go on bye, they return on Thursday, June 8th to play Koloale FC and then wrap up their campaign on June the 10th against Labasa Women FC. New South Wales have been dealt a brutal blow with Latrell Mitchell, ruled out of the series opener with a calf injury 2 days before kickoff. In a statement, New South Wales RL confirmed the injury took place on Sunday, with scans revealing a minor calf strain. Panthers gun Stephen Crichton will replace him in the centres, while Bulldogs playmaker Matt Burton has been called in as 18th man. And it may yet get worse for the Blues, with star half Nathan Cleary also in doubt with a wisdom tooth issue. Mitchell was picked to play in the centres, but had to be ruled out. He did not travel with the team to Adelaide today. The injury is believed to be only minor, and his fitness for Game 2 on June the 21st is not in doubt. For Crichton, it's the second Origin promotion in the space of a week. The Panthers centre was made 18th man after Campbell Graham was withdrawn with a sternum injury. Footy legend Paul Gallen has condemned the pitch invaders during Saturday's game between the Warriors and Broncos at Napier and insists the NRL should stop taking games around New Zealand if idiots can't behave. The Warriors were beaten by an understrength Broncos side 26-22 in a game that was repeatedly interrupted by pitch invasions at McLean Park.
The game went down to the wire, but the big talking point on social media afterwards was the many pitch invaders who ran onto the field. When reacting to Saturday's incident, league legend Paul Gallen said he is happy to see more matches played in New Zealand since the pandemic, but was furious about the interruptions from the crowd. Gallen said on Nine's Sunday Footy show that the behaviour of the crowd was appalling. New Zealand skipper Tohu Harris also expressed his frustration with the crowd at Napier, saying it gets really annoying when they were trying to get themselves back into the game. The Warriors had similar issue during their opening game of the season against Newcastle with 13 pitch invaders, which left a couple of security guards injured. Security boss Ben Wooding, who runs Red Badge Security, said if the trend continues, New Zealand might have to change the way they view sports. Police said 12 people who had entered McLean Park in the closing 10 minutes of the match on Saturday were apprehended by Red Badge Security and then arrested. Pitch invasion is illegal in New Zealand and carries a maximum fine of $5,000 or a 3-month term behind bars. Terry Longwood, TV1 Sports.
Despite finishing on the wrong side of the scoreboard in QRL Host Plus Cup Round 11, the SP-PNG Hunters once again showed their trademark spirit and resilience in a 22-16 loss to the Northern Pride in front of a heavy crowd at the Santos National Football Stadium, kicking off a stretch of 4 games at the spiritual home of rugby league in Port Moresby. The Hunters ran out to an early lead, but couldn't overcome 2 sin bins and an injury to talismanic skipper Ila'alu.
In contrast, the Pride made the most of their opportunities after the break to score 3 second-half tries as the rain began to fall on the Santos National Football Stadium turf. Backing themselves out from their round 5 win in Cairns, the visitors jagged an early try through Will Partridge in the left-hand corner, with the winger icing a smooth backline movement which stripped the Hunters for numbers on their own try line. Partridge converted his own try to give the Pride a 6-point lead after 5 minutes. It wasn't long before the Hunters found themselves in attacking field position thanks to Jamie Mavoko's influence, and the halfback set up PNG's first points from there. Mavoko fooled Pride's defense to tip backrover Julius Yakopa into a yawning hole on the right edge. Some fancy footwork from Yakopa beat the cover defense from there, and Mavoko's conversion tied things up at 6 apiece. With Yakopa demanding attention from the defense and Morea a constant threat out at the back, Mavoko took the right option for a second time when he dummied to a teammate before tucking the ball under his arm and showing some great strength to complement his sleight of hand. Mavoko dragged 2 defenders over the line to score his first try in the QRL Host Plus Cup. A challenging conversion attempt just missed the left upright, leaving PNG with a 10-6 lead midway through the first half. Hunters weren't done there, with Mavoko threatening on the edges with Wazatensa skimming around the ruck. PNG quickly found themselves back on the attack. Scooting out of dummy half with the ball out in front, Wazatensa scanned the defense before putting his foot down and streaked through a hole beside the left upright. The Hunters took a 16-6 lead into the break. The drop in temperature favored the visitors, who were otherwise struggling in the humid weather, and they played to the wet conditions smartly to camp themselves on the Hunters' line. Overcome by a weight of possession and field positions, the Hunters were resilient in their defense to repel the Pride on multiple occasions. Eventually, though, the pressure told as the Pride ran in 3 unanswered tries in the second half. 2 of those tries had more than a fair share of luck about them, as the bounce of the ball went in the visitors' way and desperate offloads hit their mark in the slippery conditions. The loss of Ila Alu, PNG's most productive yardage merchants and an important link man between the ruck and the edges, also hurt as the Hunters battled against the odds to maintain their lead to the siren. The Hunters play their second 3 games out of NFS against Tweedhead Seagulls, Western Gledsniles and South Logan Magpies in the coming weeks. Terry Longwood, TV1 Sports.
And that ends the news for tonight. Have a top week ahead. Bye for now.
The TVWAN News was proudly brought to you by BSP, our bank, our people.